Hello everyone, thank you for joining me around the fireside tonight. My name is Joe, and I'm here to tell you a story. Well, actually it's not really a story, so much as a little introduction into the wonder of sleep. A short, entry-level breakdown of what sleep actually is, how it affects our bodies and our brains, and ways to improve our sleep quality and therefore quality of life. So please, get comfortable, let go of the daytime, and join me for our story. Did you know that before the 1950s, people tended to believe that sleep was a totally passive activity? They believed that during sleep, both body and brain became dormant, effectively shutting off for rest. It was in 1953 that REM sleep was discovered, and thus began the scientific study of sleep. So that's not to say, obviously, that they were ignorant of dreams. Dreams have been a part of our collective experience for as long as humanity has existed, but it is only in the 1950s that we began to learn about the physiology of how different elements of a good night's sleep affect us individually. Seeing as sleep accounts for roughly 1/3 of the human lifespan, you'd have thought that more effort would have been made to understand it prior to this time. But it was only in the middle of the 20th century that science really started to analyse the effects that sleep, or the lack thereof, had on the quality of life. Dr. Mark Wu, sleep expert at Johns Hopkins University, says, "It turns out that sleep is a period during which the brain is engaged in a number of activities necessary to life, which are closely linked to quality of life." Now this might seem fairly obvious in terms of our own lived experience. You typically know that if you have a rough night's sleep, you have a particularly rough day after. You go to sleep a few hours later than normal and your brain is foggy for hours and hours upon waking. You pull an all-nighter, if you're older than, say, 25, and you seem to pay for it for weeks after. Good sleep is essential to a healthy, happy life, and the way we sleep is largely divided into stages and cycles. There are two main stages, REM sleep and non-REM sleep. REM, or REM, stands for Rapid Eye Movement, and this is the kind of sleep in which we dream more vividly, have a faster pulse, and tend to move and fidget more. The name comes from the quick shifting back and forth of the eyes that happens in this stage. Non-REM sleep is characterised by a dreamless, deeper sleep. Our eyes don't move, and it is much more difficult to wake us during these phases. Sleep has typically been divided into 4 stages, which we cycle through as the night progresses. When we first drift off, the first 3 stages we enter are non-REM sleep. Stage 1. Our eyes are closed, but it is easy to be disturbed or woken. Our imagination tends to race, and our minds meander through random threads, carrying us away. Our brains produce what are known as beta waves, small and fast emissions that can be measured on special equipment. This stage normally lasts anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Stage 2. We enter a light sleep. Our heart rate slow, our body temperature drops, and our breathing and our heart rate become more regular. Our brains start giving off slower, larger alpha waves. We may start experiencing strange and extremely vivid sensation known as hypnagogic hallucinations, which manifest as weird, attention-grabbing happenings, such as hearing your name called out, hearing your child cry, or your dog barking. During this phase, we sometimes experience what is known as a myoclonic jerk. If you've ever startled suddenly from sleep for seemingly no reason whatsoever, you may have experienced this odd phenomenon. It is typically characterised by the feeling of dropping off a step, falling backwards, or jumping off of something, resulting in an irritating and confusing jerk out of sleep. However, if we successfully lose ourselves and avoid the jerks and the hallucinations, we will start entering a deeper sleep. This is stage 3, deep sleep. It is much harder to be woken up now, and if we are disturbed, we're likely to be pretty disoriented for a few minutes. During the deep stages of sleep, our bodies repair themselves and strengthen our immune system, regrowing tissue, building bone and muscle, and generally fixing us up. Our muscles relax, our blood pressure drops, and our brains start giving off deep, slow delta waves. We become less responsive to noises and activity around us, and direct stimulus may fail to get a response out of us. It is at this stage that another weird occurrence known as sleepwalking might happen. Sleepwalking is when someone walks around or carries out complex activities whilst not fully awake, and interaction with a sleepwalker can lead to partial or confusing responses. I used to sleepwalk quite a lot as a child. My mum tells me of a time that I came downstairs and started rummaging through the kitchen cupboards, opening drawers and moving cutlery. Not realising that I was sleepwalking, my mum asked, "Joe, what are you doing?" To which I apparently replied, "Looking for Monday and Tuesday." This is a good example of one of those confusing responses. Clearly, I'm involved in some form of weird dream sequence, yet my body is acting out the narrative and responding to external stimulus. Sleepwalkers have their eyes open, but do not seem to see anyone, looking through any other people, but avoiding obstacles and opening doors. Contrary to popular belief, it is not seen as dangerous to gently wake a sleepwalker. They may jolt or be surprised and disorientated for a few minutes, but typically will settle down fairly quickly. They can be led gently by the arm back to bed, and if undisturbed, will quickly fall asleep again. However, it is advised to never shout at or physically restrain a sleepwalker, as this may cause them to lash out in confusion. After deep sleep, we then typically return to stage 2, light sleep, for a while, before then dropping into REM sleep, stage 4. REM sleep, the weirdest sleep. If you thought that myoclonic jerks and sleepwalking were weird, just wait until you hear about REM sleep. REM sleep is characterised by extremely fast eye movements, increased respiration rate, and massively increased brain activity. REM sleep is known as paradoxical sleep because while the brain and other bodily systems become much more active, our muscles become much more relaxed. Dreaming occurs due to heightened brain activity, but our voluntary muscles become immobilized. The dreamer becomes, effectively, paralyzed to stop them from acting out what is going on in the theatre of their mind. During REM sleep, our brains become almost as active as they are when we are awake. The brain exercises neural connections essential to well-being and mental and physical health. It is considered the learning phase of the cycle, as this is when the brain integrates and processes information from the day and prepares to shunt it back into long-term memory. Someone who has a regular deficiency of REM sleep can have issues with memory, brain, and cognitive functions in waking life. It is during REM sleep that the other weird phenomenon of lucid dreaming takes place. Lucid dreaming is like regular dreaming, but you are aware that you are in a dream and you can somewhat control the narrative and the environment. I must say that even though I have tried multiple techniques to dream lucidly, I have never been successful. You may have tried some of these methods yourself with varying degrees of success. The 2010 smash hit movie Inception dealt with the idea of lucid dreaming and how what occurs in the dream state can affect our waking consciousness. Think back to the most vivid dream you can remember. Chances are it is either one of the weirdest or creepiest memories you have. The power of the mind to create scenarios and connections is just incredible. Dreams can uplift us, scare us, empower us, and downright confuse the bejesus out of us, and it is truly fascinating and sometimes pretty exciting to know that there is a chance when you go to sleep every night that you might get your very own personalised organic experience, unique only to you, played on the silver screen of your mind. Should you wish to improve the quality of your sleep, there are a few things you can try. Our bodies have a natural sleep-wake cycle known as the circadian rhythm. Getting in touch with and regulating this rhythm is one of the most important strategies for sleeping better. To do this, try to go to sleep at the same time every evening and wake up at the same time every morning. Setting a regular sleep pattern helps your body's internal clock and optimize your sleep cycles. Keeping to your circadian rhythm also means avoiding sleeping in, even at weekends, and to be clever about when it comes to taking naps. While napping is a good technique for making up for lost sleep, if you have issues falling asleep or staying asleep, napping can be devastating. Keep your naps to just 15 to 20 minutes at a time and indulge only in the early afternoon. The next tip is to try and control your exposure to light. Melatonin is a naturally occurring hormone created by your brain, controlled by light exposure. Your brain secretes less melatonin when it is light, making you more alert, and more melatonin when it is dark, making you sleepy. Melatonin is a key component in regulating your sleep-wake cycle and circadian rhythm, and the amount of light you expose yourself to at bedtime can influence the quality of your sleep greatly. These videos are specially designed to be as dark as possible and still provide you a warm, cozy feel so as not to adversely affect this cycle too much. During the day, expose yourself to sunlight in the mornings, spend more time outside, and let as much natural light into your home or workspace as is possible. At night, avoid bright screens within a few hours of bedtime. The blue light emitted from modern-day devices are particularly disruptive to melatonin production. Try listening to something rather than watching something when in bed. There is also a rather good exercise you can try that might help you sleep. It is widely known that deep breathing from your belly rather than from your chest can activate the body's relaxation response, lowering your heart rate and blood pressure, helping you drift off. Try it, and hopefully after a short amount of time you should fall asleep. First, lay down on the bed on your back and close your eyes. Put your left hand on your chest and the right hand on your stomach. Breathe in through your nose, feel the hand on your stomach rise. Notice the hand on your chest doesn't move much. And exhale through your mouth, pushing as much air out as you can while contracting your abdominal muscles. Again, the hand on your stomach should move and the one on your chest should not. Continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, feeling your right hand rise and fall rhythmically, counting upwards as you exhale. Get used to this technique and try it a few times, and you should hopefully find yourself drifting off pretty quickly into a good sleep. And so there we have it, a brief introduction to sleep, dreams, and the different stages our bodies and minds go through on our journey through the night, as well as a few hints to try and improve your sleep quality. With any luck, you'll have already fallen asleep by this point of the video and be well on your way through the cycles and stages of the wonder of sleep. Good night and sweet dreams.